While residing in the University of Maine, King looked over at the highway and saw the numerous cats and other animals that would become roadkill. This would be the inspiration for his 1983 novel Pet Sematary. The film tells the story of a family that encounters a cemetery where the buried comes back from the dead. The film adaptation was released in 1989 and was directed by Mary Lambert. Hey guys, I'm not in the studio, I'm on the road, but there's a reason for that. You see, Pet Sematary to me is the Stephen King movie that feels the most Stephen King movie-ish. The reason why I think it's the most Stephen King-y movie is because it takes place in Maine, and it really has that Maine vibe, and it feels all chilly and cold, like a cold autumn day, very spooky vibe. So I decided today we're going to Stephen King's house, and there's a ton of tourists here taking pictures. But anyway, let's go in. This is Stephen King's house. It's got the spooky fence. There you go. It's pretty giant, and it doesn't show, but there's like a ton of house behind that house. It's like two houses schmoofed together. If you guys see that, that's some kind of weird statue. That actually was a molded tree when I first arrived here, and they like spray painted it with preservative and carved it into some weird creature. There's like frogs and an owl and some wooden library thing. It's actually pretty neat. I'm not allowed to go in Stephen King's house. That would be funny though. Yeah, I'm going to see my good friend Steve. Yeah, we go way back, me and Steve. So I'm driving to a second location now because one of the film's locations is actually pretty close to Stephen King's house. That location is... Whoops, gotta put my seatbelt. That location is in fact the location where they bury the son when the son passes away. Not the pet cemetery itself, but the other cemetery. And that's the scene where Stephen King actually has his cameo.
And now, may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and comfort you and lift you up and give you peace. Amen.
So we're gonna go visit that cemetery. It's actually a pretty beautiful cemetery. But yeah, my review of the movie, like I said, I feel like it's the Stephen King movie that feels the most like a Stephen King movie. And when it came out, it got negative reviews, but I think it's a pretty enjoyable movie. It's a movie I saw as a kid, and it kind of spooked me as a kid. It's very graphic and gory, probably the most gory Stephen King movies. I just remember the scene where he's making out with his dead wife at the end, and there's like pus coming out of her, and yuck.
Darling.
Also, the thing that really traumatized me about Pet Sematary as a kid was the character of Zelda. So we find out that the mother in the film used to have a sister with
Spinal meningitis.
And it's not really an accurate portrayal of what
Spinal meningitis
would look like. And actually, this is something I found out way later in life. The person who plays Zelda is actually a dude, which makes it all the more frightening, I guess. Not that being a cross-dresser is frightening or anything. Come on, guys, it's 2021. Yeah, even the old man in the movie really feels like a Mainer. I love his accent. Mainers don't really sound like that, but I just like the way he talks. Like, hey, watch out, the kid's going out on the road over there.
Don't let him go on the road, Lord.
Get him, boys! Get the baby!
And I love the part where he gets his mouth cut by the little kid. The little kid kills him, and he's just like, wop, 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 wop. But yeah, Maine is definitely a vibe. I'm from Canada, and I moved to Maine, and this is basically how I describe Maine. Maine is basically Canada mixed with Walmart. It feels very Walmart-y everywhere you go. Before recording this video, I actually saw a man riding a bicycle, and his plumber's crack was like out in the air, and that guy had zero fucks given, which I kind of have to respect the hustle. But yeah, it's a very blue-collar town. Very hardworking people, and I see at the hospital too, everyone's like a construction worker, and everyone's really hardworking, and they love their labor, which I can kind of respect that, actually. I like Maine. I don't plan on living in Maine. The reason why I'm doing this Stephen King marathon is because this is the last October I'll spend in Maine, and Octobers in Maine kind of have a good vibe to them. They feel very spooky. When the It movie was coming out, a lot of people were going around my city dressed as Pennywise, and they actually had to start arresting people dressing as Pennywise and causing torment to young children. They were also tying balloons to the sewers and stuff like that. Pretty memey. Other locations for this film were shot in Maine as well, but I'm not going to those because they're a little far and out of the way, and the main location, so the pet cemetery itself, is actually filmed behind the guy's house, and I don't want to just go to that guy's house and like, hey, can I use your backyard for my stupid YouTube videos? I don't know if people take too kindly to that. I remember Bruce Campbell was telling the story on Opie and Anthony. He would tell the story about how people would want to visit the set of Evil Dead, and people would just trespass in this guy's backyard. And he was like, I don't encourage you guys to do that. The roads here are so bad. That's one thing. I say that as the roads is tilting my camera. But the roads here are so bad, it's awful. There's so many huge potholes. And I'm from Canada, and the roads in Canada are pretty terrible. But I think Bangor takes the cake, quite frankly. The roads here, they're not pretty. They're pretty terrible. The longer I talk, the more this camera gets out of position. So I have arrived at the cemetery. I'm not gonna vlog in the cemetery just out of respect for the dead, even though they shot a movie at the cemetery and it's basically the same, but whatever. So yeah, I'm just gonna show you some locations on the cemetery. If you guys were wondering where Abraham Lincoln's VP was buried, it's in Bangor, Maine. Or so I was told. Or so the Germans would have us believe. If I'm not mistaken, this is the approximate place where young Gage was buried, somewhere around this hill. Woof, look at these stairs. I'm gonna work my glutes. Ugh. So I hope you guys enjoyed seeing that cemetery and seeing Stephen King's house, getting a little tour of Maine. I thought it was appropriate for the Stephen King marathon. And yeah, overall my thoughts on Pet Sematary. It's a classic, come on guys. And I've never seen the remake, but I'm planning to watch it for this marathon. So stay tuned for that. I can compare both. I can see what it improves upon and what it does not as well. So stay tuned for that, and yeah, I'll see you guys around.
Paramount Pictures presents Stephen King's all-time best-selling tale of horror, Pet Sematary.